You know, people, it's a different world we live in now, because we now live in a world where The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, is available for us to play. And I know it's hard, but we all have to accept that nothing will ever be the same. So today, I'm going to be talking about Tears of the Kingdom. And I won't hold you in suspense here. I'm gonna talk about it because Tears of the Kingdom is the best game ever made. It just is. And I'm gonna explain why. But first, how can we talk about Tears of the Kingdom without talking about Breath of the Wild? Because before Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild held the title of best game ever made. And I challenge anybody to refute that, because you just can't. No other game had innovated as powerfully as Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was the first open world game ever. It was the first good game ever. Just think about that. You don't get any open world games without Breath of the Wild. You don't get GTA, you don't get Skyrim, Assassin's Creed, you don't get any MMO if Breath of the Wild doesn't usher in open world gaming. Even smaller things that Breath of the Wild just takes in stride are littered with innovation unseen and unlike anything else we knew. Like, you know how in Breath of the Wild you adventure and search around its sprawling open world, and as you do, you will come across treasure chests. And the game really doesn't make a big deal out of it, but they were the first ones to implement the idea of a treasure chest into media, into the public zeitgeist. Before Breath of the Wild, the idea of a trunk or a chest containing treasure, valuables, riches unknown, that was not a concept. And now, post Breath of the Wild, we see treasure chests everywhere in everything. Pirate movies, cartoons, video games, you name it. The idea of the treasure chest is so common that it feels like one of those things that you can't even track where it came from, but you can. It came from Breath of the Wild. Even the beautiful details of Breath of the Wild's open world were completely unique and inspired all video games going forward. The grass in Breath of the Wild was revolutionary because, make no mistake, games did not have grass before this. Before Breath of the Wild introduced things like grass, wind, snow, just weather in general, games were not doing this. I know it's commonplace now, but that's how hard the influence of Breath of the Wild hit. So there's just a quick little history lesson for everybody, but this isn't what we're here to talk about. Let's get to the main focus. We're actually here to talk about Tears of the Kingdom, arriving 6 years after the game that started everything. This is essentially the second coming of Jesus, and that's quite a compliment for Jesus. And speaking of Jesus, speaking of God, how does one make God better? Because that was the task given to Tears of the Kingdom, to improve upon God, also known as Breath of the Wild. And yet somehow, this impossible task was done. Now, I will get into some of the specifics of Tears of the Kingdom, but I first want to say that I didn't have to play much before I knew that this game, and it almost feels like an insult calling it that, but in an instant, I knew this game had shattered all games. I knew. At the title screen, I knew. And the more I played, the more I was proven correct. The main feature of Tears of the Kingdom that even its predecessor lacked is the ability to fuse and build things. If you see a thing, you can stick it to a thing and it'll make a thing. And it is through this feature that Tears of the Kingdom becomes much more than an open world game. It now encapsulates all genres. For example, in my most recent Tears of the Kingdom game session, I took a wooden board and attached 4 wagon wheels to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. I then took an electrically powered fan and glued it to the back of the wooden board. Once done, I stood atop the wooden board, now elevated by the 4 wagon wheels, and activated the fan. The winds generated by the fan then propelled the board and thus me to my destination. I had built a car. And just like that, Forza Motorsport was rendered obsolete. Gran Turismo was dead in the water. And it'd be funny if it weren't so sad. And what you can build is infinite in Tears of the Kingdom. And the more I played, the more games became invalidated. Oh, you want to play Doom? I built guns, cannons in Tears of the Kingdom. Link fought the Demon King. Link fought demons first and better. There's no reason to play Doom. Oh, you want to play Street Fighter? Who do you think built that street that you're fighting on? Link did in Tears of the Kingdom, where you can build anything. Where do you think Fortnite got the building idea? Where do you think anyone got the building idea? There weren't even buildings on Earth before Tears of the Kingdom. And you know what's funny? That there's even a question about this year's Game of the Year. Tears of the Kingdom is Game of the Life. You fucking idiots. But I'll humor you. Let's talk about Tears of the Kingdom in comparison to some of this year's quote-unquote heavy hitters. One that I see a lot of you morons try to bring up is Resident Evil 4 Remake. And this is such a joke. That game can't even get companions right. Something Tears of the Kingdom does perfectly. In Resident Evil 4, you have a useless burden of a companion whom you constantly have to save, like a far more annoying Princess Zelda. I smell a ripoff, but anyway, companions are done so much more eloquently in Tears of the Kingdom. For example, I had a Rito companion named Tulin, and for the uninitiated, Rito is not short for burrito, okay? Rito is a species of bird people. Do your Googles, you ignorant fuck. But anyway, my companion Tulin, unlike Ashley in Resident Evil, is very useful, with the ability to summon gusts of wind whenever and wherever I'd like to blow me all over the place. In the air, he's blowing me. On the ground, he's blowing me. In battle, blowing me. Any armor, any outfit, he's blowing me, and it feels great. Can Resident Evil's Leon say the same? I don't think so. So who's your next little Game of the Year contender? Oh, I know. Jedi Survivor. But let's be real for a second. That piece of shit doesn't even stand a chance. I mean, you can't even build anything in it. The only thing you can construct is a lightsaber, otherwise known as a glowy sword. You know who else has a sword that glows? Link. It's called the Master Sword. But the difference is, a lightsaber won't seal away the darkness, will it? The Master Sword will. Case closed. Who's next? Diablo 4? Trash. As I said, Link has defeated the Demon King. The key word being demon. There is no greater Diablo to defeat. So what else you got? Final Fantasy 16 maybe? Oh please, just stop it. The real fantasy is that absolute garbage would ever be better than Tears of the Kingdom. Listen people, I could go all day, but at some point we've got to face facts. Tears of the Kingdom is the best game ever. Breath of the Wild is the best game ever, and you've got to face it. And I know you might be wondering, how can two games be the best game ever? But they're two parts of the same whole. It's like God and Jesus. You know how both guys are the same guy, but one guy is the other guy's dad? It's like that, but better. And you know, some people like to complain about the weapon degradation. Oh no, my weapons are breaking, it's not fair. Yeah, life isn't fair. That's the beauty and philosophy embedded in Tears of the Kingdom. It teaches you life lessons. It's like real life. Things break in real life, but you can also build whatever you want. It's the duality of degradation and regeneration, but it went right over your head. Just try to use your brain next time, okay? Anyway, I think I'm done with this. I have now provided irrefutable proof as to why Tears of the Kingdom is the undeniable best game ever created. And if you disagree, you're wrong. Simple. So until next time, I am Waifu Collector. I am just a normal guy. I like hentai, and I'm gonna go delete all my other games now that I have Tears of the Kingdom. Goodbye.